Hello, I'm Greer McGearey, and with me tonight is President of Seahorse, Emma Whiting. Tonight we're going to talk about transitioning in the workplace, and what I'd like to explore is, first of all, what was the catalyst for you making the decision to transition in the workplace?
Well, I kind of had to transition, and as people know, transition involves a lot of things. And one thing I had to do is make sure I kept my employment. And so I considered, when I started considering transition, I actually thought what was going to be my options, how were people going to take me, so yeah.
So was there any sort of issues about the planning that went into it, such as, keeping it secret until you were ready to out yourself to the boss?
Yes, I kind of kept it secret, but also I tried to test the water to see what the reaction of the people were. So I picked a couple of people at random and decided to just try and figure out how they're going to take it, if they could understand, or whether they were going to accept me. And I did that for a little while before I was ready.
I understand that social media played a part in you being found out, as it were.
Yes, it did. Unfortunately, I was outed on Facebook 2 weeks before I officially announced that I was coming out.
How did that impact on the way you were thinking about what you were doing?
I didn't know, so it didn't affect me. So I was in the dark. Everyone else knew though, so it was...
So once you actually then approached the employer to say, look, I'm transitioning, what was the employer's reaction?
They were shocked first. They didn't understand, because I was the first one on the work site that was transgender transitioning, so they had no idea what to do. They basically freaked out, and they found that they wanted me to tell them what was going to happen, and I said, look, it's fine, you just leave me alone and I'll deal with it. I'm the one going through this, not you. So just, yeah, but there will be changes as I slowly start to go through the transition period.
Yes, because I understand that being in a construction industry and being an operator of heavy equipment, it's a very male-orientated business and work environment. So was that a big consideration that you put into?
Oh yes, you consider it, because you're in an environment that is completely masculine. Everything that encompasses masculinity is pretty much in construction. It's that kind of industry. So to transition and even to be female in any description in their workplace is extremely hard. And yeah, so I considered changing careers, but at the same time, it's like, what was my options? So if transition had have been a failure and they had not accepted me, I would have had no choice but to find another job and actually move on to something else. But as it turned out, they were fine with it, so it was not a problem.
The aspect of support obviously is a big thing in transitioning. Now, did you have any outside work support?
Yes, I had my support network already established before I decided to transition, so everything was in place, so to speak. So I had support there, plus the workplace supported me. Everyone at work supported me, so I had support everywhere. And yeah, that helped a lot.
I understand that then there were some issues with the employer that you originally outed yourself with and transitioned it. So how did that impact on what you were doing?
Well, it's kind of what happened was that the people started to leave the company, so my support network diminished to a point. Then I was left with only 1 or 2 people and one of them wasn't very supportive, so that started to affect me. And yeah, so I still kept at it, but in the end I had to actually quit the job because it was too much. And I found that after I'd quit and reevaluated everything, I was able to go back because the people had left and I was in a better headspace. So I returned to the industry and it was fine. So ever since then it's been not a problem.
So what about the family support? Did you have a partner, or did parents, or what aspect of that was impacted by your transition?
Basically was a death sentence to the partnership. It ended, but we became friends, so that was a good thing. But unfortunately, transition is like that. There is a lot you will sacrifice, and there's a lot that will happen that you cannot control, and you have to make the best of it.
Once you've left that employment, now I won't necessarily ask you about the actual transition surgery because that impacted in the period of that we're talking about with employment. So what about your new employment? How did you go about applying for the job, and were you worried about any impact on the transition?
By the time I started the new job, the transition was done. There's nothing more to do, and there was no reason to worry about it anymore, and there hasn't been since. It's just easy to live my life now. It's no need to even think about it. It's not an everyday occurrence. I don't think about transition or anything to do with it anymore. It's pretty much done and dusted. So all I do is just basically live my life. And
so what about the employees that you work with, and also the support that you have through management?
They just treat me as a regular girl. So yeah, there's nothing there. It's just like but I do suffer from everything else that regular females suffer from at work. So there's always power plays and stuff like that. So there's the things that you see and things that you can't control, but yeah, you just try not to let it worry you too much.
Do you feel that transitioning has improved, or has it detracted from your ability to operate machinery?
Not at all. I can still operate as good as the day I was. There was one incident though that I did have, is that one of the operators on my previous job where I actually transitioned, they actually said to me, you can't be number one anymore, you have to be number two because you're a girl now. And I thought, okay, but I can still operate as good as I ever did. So that's not an issue. My skill level has never changed. So yeah, it didn't impact at all on that.
So what's the best benefit that you've derived from transitioning?
I'm more comfortable as me, and it's much easier to live as me. I don't have to run around and stress about things that I used to worry about, and I don't worry about them anymore. So I find it's more enjoyable. Life is a little better, it's fun. But yeah, it's still a hard slog. It's still a lot you go through. So it hasn't always been plain sailing, but it's nice. Thank
you for joining us tonight to tell your story about transitioning in the workplace. Thank you, Emma Whiting, and I'm Greer McGearey. Thank you for watching.